Okay, good morning, everyone. So it's been a while since I've been on the live stream, but I'm Daphne, in case those of you don't know. And I see people are tuning in and joining in. I see someone from Chile, nice. And let's see, anyone else, feel free to comment and send a message where you're coming from or where you're from. And so if you can see today on the board, what we have is phrases to show empathy. So that's what today's topic is about. First, we'll kind of go into a definition, and then we will go into some phrases that you can use. And so first, let's start. The word empathy. What does the word empathy mean? Does anyone know? Can anyone type in the comments maybe? Or want to chime in what they think it means? Let's see, anyone? Let me wait a minute or two or a couple seconds just to see. Okay, that's okay. It's on the board. But basically, empathy is the ability to experience and feel with others or with somebody else. And what's important is to notice the difference from sympathy, which is more focusing on showing your concern, your pity, maybe your sorrow towards the other person. But empathy is understanding and feeling with the person. So for example, here's a phrase that I wrote on the board. I'm sorry to hear you lost your job. It wasn't worth your time, but on the bright side, you can find a better job, for example. So that would be, what do you think that is? Is that empathy or sympathy? Anyone in the comments want to just type real quick? Let's see. That's okay if nobody wants to chime in, but basically that phrase shows more sympathy than empathy because you're showing them that you feel bad for them, maybe you pity them a little bit, but you're not showing actual understanding. The phrase right below that says, I understand how much you loved and relied on that job. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. So that is showing them that you understand what they're feeling makes sense, what they're feeling is valid, and you want to be there for them, you want to support them, help them. So yes, I see people commenting now. That is a phrase to show empathy. And then the first one is a phrase that would show more sympathy. Okay, and more people are chiming in, tuning in. Someone from Texas, from India, Peru. I see greetings from Argentina. Nice. So it's morning here. Might not be morning for you. Okay, so now that we kind of have the definition of empathy versus sympathy out of the way, we can get more into the phrases that we can use. And actually, before the phrases, take a look right here at this little corner. So these are just a couple of steps that you can follow in order to show empathy. So first would be to acknowledge others' pain or acknowledge their feelings, what they're saying to you. Try to show your understanding. And another thing you can do is to reflect back to them. So for example, maybe they tell you that they lost their job, like the example above, and they're very upset. They don't know what to do. They're scared. They're anxious. So then you could say something like, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like losing your job is very stressful for you and you have a lot of anxiety over it. So you're just showing them that you want to try to fully understand what it is that they're telling you and what they are expressing to you. Then 3, I wrote, show support. So that is after you fully understand their situation, how they sorry about that. There was a little bit of a technical difficulty. I can see a lot of comments saying that there's no sound, you can't hear my voice, you're not hearing anything. Hopefully that's all good and fixed now. So where was I? Showing support, right? So when you want to show support, you're showing them that you're there for them. For example, maybe you want to see if there's anything that you can do for them, or just letting them know that you're with them, you're there with them. Then lastly, another thing you can do is to follow up and express appreciation. Following up just by maybe, again, going over what they told you and telling them that you understand, you're here for them, and express appreciation by telling them that you are grateful that they felt safe enough to share this with you, or that you feel honored, or you feel very touched that they would share this with you and tell this to you. Okay, so those are just a couple of things that you can keep in mind when you are trying to be there for somebody and show your empathy. So now on this side of the board, I wrote a couple of phrases, or more than a couple actually. So first we have number 1, which says, I'm here, I'm with you. So that lets the other person know that they aren't alone, they're safe, they can share with you, and that you are there to listen. So you're with them, obviously physically, or maybe let's just say if you're on the phone, you're with them, you're here to listen. So that's a very useful phrase if somebody is sharing with you maybe a difficult time that they're having. Okay, yes, I see more people tuning in, and great that now you guys can all hear me. So hello from Colombia, nice to see you guys all joining in and typing into the comments. Okay, so now we have the second phrase that I wrote on the board, which is, I know that I might not get it, but I'm here to listen. So of course you don't necessarily know what the person is fully going through. So maybe even though you don't understand, you're still letting them know that you're there to listen. It validates the other person's feelings, and it shows that you have the openness to listen to them, to learn and to hear. And okay, I see more people tuning in from Peru, from India, and just for those of you that are joining right now, maybe you missed the beginning, so a quick recap. We first discussed what the difference is between empathy and sympathy. So empathy is when you are there to experience and feel with somebody else. And how is that different from sympathy, which is you more focused on showing your concern, maybe your sorrow or pity towards that person. And here are all the phrases. So we just went through numbers 1 and 2. And we will continue on to the next one, number 3. So 3 says, I understand how frustrating that experience must have been. So you can substitute frustrating for words like, I understand how difficult that must have been. I understand how infuriating, how anxiety causing that could have been. So it shows that you are going on their level and that it's okay to feel how they feel. So you're trying to put yourself into their shoes and understand them. And then we have number 4, and this goes back to showing your appreciation. So thank you for trusting me and sharing this with me. So when somebody opens up to you, they're being vulnerable, right? So it's a difficult thing to do. Not everyone is able to, but if they trust you enough to show that and share that with you, that means that they feel that you can be the person who would be there to listen to them. And it applies when you say this phrase that you know what they're telling you is private and sensitive, and that you feel very honored. So it's a place that's reserved to be honored and respected. And I see more people tuning in from Guatemala, from Algeria, very nice, Canada, awesome. So again, if you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to type that in the chat or the comments. And I will do my best to answer any of the questions you guys may have. Okay, so moving on to phrase number 5 right here. It says, I hear you, is there's a typo. Give me 1 second to fix that real quick. There we go. Now it says, is there anything I can do to help you through this? So that shows that you are actively listening to them. You are there to understand, so you hear them, and you want to help in any way that you can. So it shows that you are trying to be there for them if they need anything. Okay. Then we have phrase number 6, which says, it's okay to feel the way you do. Your feelings are valid. So this is very important because this shows that you are trying to let them know that whatever they feel makes a lot of sense, and that you want them to know it's okay to feel what they feel, and that you understand, and there's nothing wrong with how they feel. So this is a very important phrase that helps validate whatever the other person is feeling. And just very briefly, if you guys take a look at the banner beneath me right here at the bottom of the screen, you can get 40% off forever discount with our breakthrough sale. So if you look at the screen right now, this applies to premium and premium plus. So right here, and feel free to click the link in the description, and that will bring you to the 40% off. This is our breakthrough sale once again, so please check that out in the description and click the link right here. Okay, great. So now that we've gone through 6 different phrases, excuse me, there's a couple left, several actually, left that we can go through. And these are all, in general, very similar, but they're all just different ways that you can show someone that you are there to listen, that you are trying to understand, that you want to be there for them, and that maybe even if you don't know exactly what they're going through, or you don't know exactly maybe what they're feeling, that you are trying to be there and trying to understand. So for example, number 7, that must be very hard. Maybe somebody is talking about a divorce that they're going through, and you might not have had a divorce before, but you are trying to understand. So you're putting yourself in their shoes, and so you're telling them, oh, that must be very hard, or that must be very difficult. Then we have phrase number 8, which is quite similar to phrase number 6. It says, your feelings matter. I want you to feel heard and understood. So you're letting them know that they're important, how they feel is important to you, and that you want them to feel like you really are there, and you're there to understand, and that they can be heard, and that this is a safe space for them to share whatever they are feeling and whatever they are going through. So that's very important when you're trying to show someone empathy, and that when you're trying to be there for someone. Okay, then we have number 9, which says, I can only imagine how difficult it must be. So number 9 says, I can only imagine how difficult it must be. So that would show that maybe you don't know exactly what they're going through because you haven't gone through this exact situation, but you can imagine and you can try to put yourself into their shoes, and that you want to understand. You want to feel what they feel, that you're there to feel what they feel with them so that they're not alone. So I can only imagine how difficult it must be. Maybe something like, I can only imagine how frustrating that is, or I can only imagine how hard a time it must be for you and your family, something like that. So maybe somebody shares a situation about their breakup and they're really going through a difficult time. Then you can tell them, I can only imagine how difficult that must be. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help, or please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you get through this. Then we have phrase number 10, which says, you're not alone, I'm here for you. So this is very important because you're letting them know that they're not alone. So maybe they feel very much alone, and that's also good to acknowledge and validate. I understand maybe you're feeling very alone right now, but you're not alone because I'm here for you. So you're being there for the other person. And it's difficult because when somebody is struggling, maybe they might not be able to feel anything else. And to them, they feel very much alone. They feel very sad. They're going through a hard time and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel maybe. But you're there to show them that even though things might be very difficult and their situation might seem like it's the end of the world, but you are there for them and you are there to be with them. And I see a lot more people joining in and commenting as well. So someone from Taiwan and somebody from Brazil. And I see someone ask a question a while earlier, what is validated? And then someone in the comments also responded, validate means to feel supported, yes. And it means that you feel like you can be seen and heard and understood. So whatever, for example, if your feelings are validated, that means that your feelings are understood, your feelings are accepted, they're being acknowledged, that it's okay that you have these feelings, that you feel these things, and there's nothing wrong with what you're feeling. And again, if anyone else has questions that you would like to ask, or just comments, or maybe you can even share some phrases that you have used, and maybe if you want to share a situation and what you might say, or maybe if you have a question of any of these phrases or a particular word, then please feel free to type that below. So again, for those maybe that are joining in a little bit late, empathy and sympathy, those are two different things. They sound very much the same. The words are very similar, but they are quite different. So empathy being that you are experiencing and feeling with others. So you are sharing their experience. You are there with them. Versus sympathy is maybe you feel bad for them, you feel concern and you feel sorrow, but doesn't necessarily mean that you are trying to share in their experience or that you want to try to understand or put yourself into their shoes. So sympathy, a lot of people might say like, oh, I'm sorry that happened, but at least now this is a chance for you to have something new. So that's not necessarily showing that you are trying to understand and put yourself into their shoes. Okay, so we have just about 2 more phrases left. Here, you're not alone. I'm here for you. So again, that's just letting the person know that they aren't alone. Or I think I went over that, but something similar could be like, even though you might feel alone, I'm here for you. I'm here to help whatever you need. And then we have the last phrase, which says you don't have to go through this alone. So maybe the person might feel like this is something they have to deal with on their own. Or a lot of people might have difficulty being vulnerable completely and they want to handle their problem by themselves. But you're letting them know that you don't have to go through this alone. And whatever you need, or if you need anything, if you want to talk, if you need ears to listen, somebody to be there for you, that you are there and they don't have to be alone and they don't need to handle this by themselves, and that there are people around them that care and people that are there to support them, to try to understand them, to help them get through the difficult time. Okay, so just a quick recap of everything. We went through the difference between empathy and sympathy. Again, empathy being sharing in someone else's experience, feeling with them. Sympathy being just showing maybe your concern, your sorrow for their situation or for what they're telling you. So it's very important to remember the difference. And just a couple of ways to show empathy, which is to acknowledge somebody else's pain by letting them know that you're hearing what they're telling you. Then you can reflect back. So from what I'm hearing, if I'm understanding correctly, it seems like you feel very frustrated, you feel very sad. It seems like you're having a very difficult decision to make. So you're just reflecting to make sure that what they're saying is what you're hearing, and if you're hearing the right thing and that you understand what they're going through. Then you can show your support by being there for them. I know you might feel like maybe you're alone, or I can only imagine how difficult this must be, but you're not alone. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. And then you can follow up by just going over, reiterating the situation they told you, how they feel, and then express your appreciation. So thank you for trusting me and sharing this with me, because this is something that is probably very difficult for them to open up about. So you're showing that you understand this is very sensitive and that this is something that you will honor and respect their privacy in, and it's very confidential. And before we finish up today, again, for those of you that missed it, there's a banner right here at the bottom of the screen, which is that you will have 40% off forever discount with our breakthrough sale. So that includes premium and premium plus. You can see here on the screen. And if you're interested, please feel free to click the link in the description. That will direct you right to the 40% off. And I highly recommend that you guys take this chance. Feel free to click right down below. Okay, so I'm glad that all of you could tune in today and join us for this live stream. If there are any last questions or any comments anyone wants to type into the chat box. I see a lot of people telling me where they're from India, Nepal, very nice. From, let's see, Brazil. That's amazing. These are all countries I've never been to but would like to visit. So thank you guys all for coming and tuning into this live stream. And today, if you guys want, I will put up a QR code, and that will let you can just scan the QR code and you will have a copy of all of this on the board. So all of the phrases, the difference between empathy and sympathy. So please feel free to just scan the QR code. That is going to pop up on the screen momentarily, right here. So you can just take a picture of the QR code, scan the QR code, and that will give you a copy of all the phrases that I wrote on the board and the difference between empathy and sympathy. And you can also tap right here, and just as soon as you scan the QR code, a link should be able to pop up, and that will give you a copy of this. So I'll give you guys just a little bit of time for anyone who is still trying to pull out their phone and pull out their camera just to scan the QR code. And in the meantime, ooh, somebody's from Dominican Republic, nice. It's great to have so many people around the world tuning in. And again, any questions, type that into the comments. Okay, so hope you guys all got the notes, the phrases on the board. And honestly, the world really could use more empathy. So these are all very, very important and useful phrases. So thank you guys for joining this live stream today, and I will see you guys all next time.